2024, with the season really kicking into gear now. 9 Grand Prix weekends in the space of 12 weeks from here all the way through to the middle of November. In the middle of November, when we get to Valencia, we will have a MotoGP World Champion crowned, and it looks as though it's starting to narrow down to that same old duo at the top of the timesheets. Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia seemingly are going to be going toe-to-toe once again for the crown, just like we saw in 2023. But we return here for the first time since 2022, Simon, and with it comes a brand new surface, a surface that you've had the opportunity to try earlier on today. How was it, and how do you see this weekend playing out, given the fact that we've not been here for quite a period?
Well, like I mentioned before, a little bit earlier before we heard from Alberto Puig, I love the layout. I love the whole facility. But riding, I mean, occasionally it's affected by wind. When you go between a couple of hills and you come out, you can get some really bad buffeting if it's windy. It's not too bad at the moment. That can happen. The big fear for me is, after riding today, is grip. It's a brand new surface. To be fair, there's no rubber down. Maybe that was part of it. I could see my own marks out there, but there's clearly no rubber. They've obviously done some cleaning in preparation. But I'm hoping it's just the rubber, because there was a lack of grip. I mean, I don't often get to say that, since Argentina, or, where it hasn't been used for a long time. But the bike wouldn't stop and turn, especially. And I even came in to check front tyre pressure, and it wasn't that. Thought it can't be wind because it's everywhere. It just was like that. So let's hope when they get some rubber down that those things come back. But my guess is the first session is just going to be burning up some tyre and getting some rubber down, because literally I had locking going into turn 12 on a production bike, which normally never happens. So all I'm saying is, let's get that first session out of the way and hope it comes back. But what this is going to do, the reason for bringing it up, is as grip comes back, it's how good the teams are at modifying that, because you're constantly changing your bike setting, especially electronics, to match that level of grip. Yeah. And if it's changing, it's really quite complicated for everyone, in the team. So let's see who handles it best.
If the grip levels, even as it cleans up, remains pretty low, you mentioned Argentina, comes to mind Barcelona, Qatar, for example, can be dirty at first when we go there. Who do we think that's going to suit? Who might be there to take advantage of it? Whenever we talk low grip, seemingly Aprilia are ones that are able to maximise that. Is that going to be the case here?
That's the thing. My mind's trying to answer that, but every year that changes, Aprilia had the big advantage. It wasn't so this year in Barcelona. So not really. It's down to who copes with it the best, I think, because there's not a standout. It used to be KTM, and then it was Aprilia, and now no one in particular stands out to me with exceptional low grip. I think it's the Japanese brands probably suffer the most when it's really low grip. But between the Europeans, it's who handles it, I think, the best.
Yeah, we saw Fabio Quartararo after a test at Misano last weekend put an Instagram story up saying that if anyone was selling any grip out there, and Taka Nakagami, who was also there, saying, if you find someone, I'll also take a little bit off them as well. That just gives you an example of the issues that they're suffering with at the moment. One brand not suffering with grip at all, given what we saw at the Red Bull Ring, are Ducati, and in particular the three riders on the GP24, four riders on the GP24 machines, but at the moment it is Bagnaia, Martin and Bastianini that are really capitalising it. At 19 seconds, the gap between Bagnaia at the front and Brad Binder in fourth, who rode the wheels off it to be able to be that close. Are they that far in front at the moment, or was it just Red Bull Ring that we know is a circuit that is going to really play into their strengths?
Well, we did say that leading in, this time before the last race, that I fully expected those GP24s to be the standout bike there, because Red Bull Ring was about stopping and starting, and meaning accelerating off the slow corners and stopping for them, and that's what they do the best, and that came true. And it wasn't because I had a crystal ball, it's just plain for everyone to see. That's what they do the best. I think at other circuits, no, they won't be as dominant because you don't have to use those, what do you call it, strong points as much at a more flowing circuit. For example, Phillip Island and this one.
Jorge Martin, in particular, seemed pretty deflated on Sunday. I think he went into the race despite that freak injury on his left hand. If you weren't there at the Red Bull Ring on Friday night going into Saturday morning, he had to have a trip to hospital after cutting the inside of his thumb whilst in the shower. A weird injury, and he said it didn't affect him too much. But on Sunday, after the race, he was pretty deflated that he didn't have anything to go with Pecco. I mean, Pecco was just on a different planet last time.
Yeah, but it's because Jorge's a racer, a fighter, you know. He doesn't want to give up. Of course, he believed going into the race that he could, you know, have something to fight Pecco with. The thing is, Pecco, he always says braking. There is a lot of upright braking. Other ones, it's letting go the brakes. But his entry is exceptional, you know, his corner entry. And it's one of those circuits that Pecco loves, and he knows he can use his skill. But that's not going to be everywhere, you know. I would say he's not, in my opinion, going to have the same advantage here this weekend or at quite a few races coming up. I don't think he's going to have that sort of advantage over the opposition, no.
He's in incredible form at the moment, though. He's won 5 of the last 6. We come here to Aragon, where he was victorious in 2022. In fact, no, he wasn't. Beaten by Enea Bastianini, of course, on that day. I'm thinking of 2021, where he picked up his first Grand Prix win, but he was pretty close to the win in 22 as well. Would you go into the weekend saying that he's the favourite?
I would say a GP24 is the favourite, but there's no reason. Look, there's no reason why. I remember this great race between Pecco and Mark. Mark did that repeated move. Where Pecco's so good, I've got to say, well, we got those two, is being patient and not trying to fight for the position, but pulling back like this and then getting them on the exit. Again, he's so good at that, you know, rather than elbowing it out and both of you end off the track. He's brilliant. So, Jorge, I know it's not one of his favourite circuits here, but like you just pointed out, Jorge is not going to give up. He's a fighter, and there's another 3 riders on that same machine. So, I don't think Pecco's going to have it all his own way, especially going into the next run of races and flyaways.
Where does Marc Marquez come into the mix this weekend? It's a place he's had so much success at. I remember 2019, the opening session of the weekend, he went out and smashed a lap record and was a second and a half clear of everyone else. It was complete domination. It's one of his favourite circuits. It's
left-hander.
Just like Sachsenring, just like Austin, it's one that back a few years, we'd almost come here knowing who was going to win the race. Can he be in the mix?
I would say definitely. The reason I say definitely is this low grip situation, you know, and how you handle it. And yeah, Pecco and his crew have more experience at, you know, fine-tuning that the grip, electronics, etc. But Mark is wonderful at adapting quickly himself. So if it was coming into a weekend at Aragon and nothing had changed, when we had the same surface, you could predict it a little bit more. But I think coming in, it's opened it up a little bit more for people who adapt quickly, like I was saying, whether that's engineers, electronic, or riders, it's a chance for them to shine. So I think it's a little bit more open because of the new surface.
Davide Tardozzi, since we were last with you at the Red Bull Ring, affirmatively said Mark will win a Grand Prix this year.
Yeah.
But you feel as though time is ticking, options are running out. Is this his best opportunity in the remaining half of the year?
Well, I would say no.
Okay.
Only because, I mean, it's not his last opportunity. It's only because we have a lot of races to go in different climates and under, when I say that, I mean, maybe flag to flags, a wet race. I think it's one of those situations that will arise before the end of the year that Mark will adapt, you know, well and get his best chance to win a race. And it might be, yes, this weekend at a track he loves. It's left anti-clockwise, which is always his best, and the new surface may play into his hands.
You feel it's a big weekend there, of course. That head-to-head duel with Pecco Bagnaia, looking back now, was the start of a rivalry that's only going to grow as we head into 2025
Yes.
when they're teammates. And you feel from the Red Bull Ring, it's another weekend where opportunities were missed. You feel that aura that he once had is just sort of starting to diminish ever so slightly. The crash in the sprint race, then he failed to engage the ride height device ahead of the race as well. That what used to be uncharacteristic mistakes for Marc Marquez, but they're happening at a bit more frequent rate this year.
Yeah, that's a good point, and you can look at it like that. But I came away from the Red Bull Ring, and I'm not always Marc's biggest fan, how he handles some things. But I'm only saying that to prove how impressive he was. I came away from Red Bull Ring thinking Marc was exceptional in that race on Sunday. How he rode, it was impressive. He should have, to me, been fighting for the win, at least for second. And on the GP23, it made it more impressive.
13th to 4th, it was a great recovery ride.
And the fastest man on track the last part of the race. So, stunning ride. He would have been kicking himself, as you saw, that it was a big missed opportunity, as you said.
You certainly feel this is a big one this weekend as well, especially if we do get, as forecasted, a little bit of rain on Sunday. Some exciting news to bring you. Since we were last with you, Thai Grand Prix announced as the season opener. We're going to be returning to Brno in 2025 as well, which is extremely exciting. And speaking of that season opener, news today, Simon, that for the first time in MotoGP history, we'll have a Thai rider on the grid, Somkhiat Chantra, everybody's favourite. When you get the chance to chat to him in Parc Ferme, I think everybody loves seeing that big, wide smile and just how great he is with fans, how great he is with us in the media. I mean, just look at it there. You cannot help but be happy for the lad. He said when he had to phone his mum and dad when he got the news, there were tears rolling down his cheeks. Sure. He's achieved his dream. I mean, it's going to be a massive, massive challenge, jumping in and replacing Taka Nakagami. But, wow, what news for Somkhiat?
Look, at the end of the day, you've mentioned it all about how likeable Somkhiat is and how good it is for, for example, all the Thai fans. Like you said, the opening race is there. All of that's great. But Somkhiat is talented. He really is. It's not just passport, not just... He's done some exceptional rides here with his teammate. How he put pressure on Agura in that race, and he's done it repeatedly. He fully deserves a chance. He's one of the group of riders that do deserve a chance, and it's such an amazing and rare opportunity to get a job to ride in MotoGP. It's something special. I'm happy for everyone that gets the opportunity. The scary thing is he's signed up and Honda are on a down, and so as an inexperienced, as a rookie coming into the sport, it's hard enough if you've got the same level of machinery, which he will not have unless Honda really turn it around at the last part of this year and beginning of next year. So it's a tough job he's signed up for.
It is the ultimate baptism of fire. Yes. We just hope that 3 or 4 rounds in, he's still got that smile on his face.
And let's hope that, like I said, I've got to repeat it, that Honda turn things around, because we need that anyway, and start coming back and give Somkhiat some hope and a possibility to do some good results, which we know he can.
And the atmosphere at the season open, as we mentioned, is going to be electric next year. The opening weekend of March 2nd and 3rd. Believe tickets are available now and they will sell out. That is a guarantee. So if you want to be there and sample that atmosphere, then make sure you move fast, because it's going to be a special one as we see Buriram open the MotoGP season for the first time ever with a Thai rider on the grid for the first time ever. And that means only 2 seats left now, Simon, both at Prima Pramac Racing. Looks as though they've opted for a experienced duo as well. We've been hinting at it for the past couple of weeks, but both of them all but confirmed. Miguel Oliveira, Jack Miller. And that means your grid for 2025 is complete, which is pretty exciting. Some big moves that we're all looking forward to seeing come Valencia.
In hindsight, if this happens, hearing about these two older, more experienced, they're not old, but you know what I'm saying, more experienced compared to taking on a rookie, it kind of makes sense that Yamaha want riders that will help them turn things around. And I've even heard of 1-year deals being offered, and if that's the case, I think it's pretty clear that's what Yamaha are thinking is we'll do it 1 year at a time and help us turn things around, and then maybe we, if the results are good, we can sign you up for another year, or at least it'll give Yamaha the opportunity, if they have turned things around, their bike is good, they can entice a extremely, the exact rider they want to come on board. And that's not meaning anything negative. I'm just saying if you need to turn your machine around, you need experienced riders to help you.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see who from the current Moto2 crop going into 25 can take advantage of those potential opportunities, because I know you and many others, we'd love to see some rookies out there and their faces as they get the opportunity for the first time. But plenty to still focus on in 2024, as we mentioned right at the start. Now, 9 race weekends in the space of 12 weeks. We are a double header here in Aragon, then head to Misano next weekend before we get a break. Then we pack our bags, and it really does get frantic then. Misano, Indonesia, Japan, weekend off, Australia.
Lots of sleeping on planes for us and everyone else.
We get full advantage of our Netflix subscriptions. Then Australia, Thailand, Malaysia, before then finishing in Valencia. It's a crucial period where the pressure ramps up. Any slight niggles, any injuries are hugely costly. How does this play on a rider's mind, knowing that this really is crunch time in the championship now?
That's a good way to put it, because that's what teams and riders will be thinking. This is crunch time. You can't afford to get injured. You need to adapt to conditions that are changing, whether it's track or weather. And I'm just excited, because MotoGP normally is not predictable. So whatever you think is going to happen, there's a good chance it's not.
And it's going to make it even more interesting, I think, if the title picture unfolds as we expect it to, and it being a head-to-head once again between Bagnaia and Martin. They've gone at it before. They went toe-to-toe last year. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. So how they then try find an advantage once again a year later is going to be fascinating for us to watch.
Yes, and for example, Jorge Martin believes, he said it, that going into the Asian races, he feels good. He had felt like he had the advantage last year. But like I was saying before, it's so unpredictable because each year is different, Jorge would have learned from his mistakes, but so would have Pecco. And I don't think it's down to just those two just yet.
Oh, okay. Do you think what's still chance for Enea or maybe even Mark?
The thing is, we've got enough races, including races and sprints, that either of those can make a disaster of it, and someone else can make something very special of the end of the year, and march in on a lot of points. So all I'm saying is it's not completely over yet.
No, absolutely. Still 18 point scoring opportunities ahead of us. It would be remiss not to mention Enea Bastianini. We've spoken at length about Bagnaia, Martin, and in particular Marquez's chances this weekend. But Bastianini, a former winner here, was, I think, frustration a little bit that having seen what we saw at Silverstone and the way he was able to just dominate the weekend and ride so magnificently well, that he wasn't a bit closer in Austria.
I thought he would be, because there was tyre management to come in on Sunday at Austria, but listening to his debrief afterwards, he never had confidence in the front tyre and just wanted to bring it home. That was what I took from his debrief. So I think it was just he rescued what he could from the weekend, but didn't have the tools, the feeling to do something more. But I think it's only a matter of time. He's going to again, could be this weekend.
But is that why he's on the periphery of that World Championship fight at the moment? Because those top two, everywhere we've been this year, they're at it from the very first session.
Yep, exactly right.
So we'll see what Enea Bastianini will be able to do. And whilst we've got the opportunity as well, second press conference coming up, an interesting one. Alessia Spargo, Frankie Morbidelli and Somkiat Chantra. That will be in about an hour's time. So we'll touch on Aprilia before that. Let's just touch on KTM's hopes this weekend. Pedro Acosta, speaking to the media earlier, said that it felt like the heart was ripped out of his chest after Austria. He had such a frustrating and disappointing weekend. He's going to go back this weekend to the setting, the bike that he had right at the start of the year, saying that after talks with the technical guys, he feels that it's a moment to take 3 steps back to be able to go forward. Does that feel like where KTM are at the moment, that they're chasing their tails a little bit to try and find that next step?
Well, it's not uncommon what you just said, that riders develop a certain way, riders and teams, and end up going the wrong way. So be very interesting when he gets on that setup he had earlier this year, if he gets that confidence back, because he was magic at the beginning of the year. About KTM in general, I mean, I've got to say, Brad Binder rode his heart out and was a long way off still, you know, so it looks like KTM are behind. And when you say behind, the thing is, they have improved. You know, they've gone a little bit forward over the year before, like Aprilia have. I would arguably say almost everyone, but Ducati have just made such a big step, it's making everyone else look average. You know, I don't think they've marched backwards. They just haven't been able to march forward enough.
I guess the positive thing for Brad is after a few weekends, well, probably say a large chunk of the season so far, after not having that front feel that you were speaking about and those crashes that were continuously happening, which is so unlike him. That was a solid weekend where you feel that he can really build on.
I think also those crashes, this is looking from a step back further. Yeah, he had some setup problem he wasn't happy with, you know, didn't give them confidence with the front. They found that. I think it's also easier to have the crashes when you feel so far off, like Ducati have made that step, and Brad does not want to settle for an average position. He wants to fight all the way, and that led to some crashes as well.
And we know from previous years that KTM never stopped trying with regards to bringing new items. Paul's bike last time out was...
Exactly, and I've got to say to the listeners, I also believe it sounded different. So they have been, I mean, KTM are really playing, you know, they're different exhaust. The engine sounded a little bit different. I don't think it was just exhaust. They're working hard. And I don't think it was a good weekend for Pole. It wasn't what he was aiming at. But that bike has potential. And if they find the way, they're going to make a good step forward.
And of course, after this weekend here in Aragon, we go to Misano before then having the IRTA test there, almost one of the most crucial days of the season, in particular looking forward to 2025. I know you'll be there, Simon, and that's going to be an afternoon where we really start to see, okay, what's the lay of the land for next year?
Exactly right. So Honda have already said, Alberto Puig in an interview to me in Austria, that they have a machine that's new in all areas, meaning massive update. Aero, took an engine update, a bigger one, chassis, so it'll be really interesting to see what especially Yamaha and Honda bring to the Misano test.
Busy period on track and for those off track as well. 9 weekends coming to you over the next 12, filled with MotoGP action, and it kicks off here at Aragon, and we kick off proceedings with our very first press conference with the top 4 in the World Championship: Pecco Bagnaia, Jorge Martin, Enea Bastianini and Marc Marquez, all with Matt Burt.